there are tall whites or tall grays there, along with what they call the Mantis People.
Mantis People.
The Mantis People are huge, 7 feet tall, extraordinarily skinny, thin, kind of bowed over people. They remind people of praying mantises, this particular species. That's what he said. And so I've known since that time that the time has arrived, for this serious conversation among the laity. And I've been trying to figure out how to get Francis, I stay over at Doma when I'm in Rome, where Francis lives. He doesn't live in the Vatican. He won't live there for safety's sake.
Wait, he doesn't?
No, he does not. He lives in the Doma, which is a separate part.
Can we look that up?
It's on the Vatican grounds, but it's not.
Oh, so it's on the grounds.
It's not in the papal apartments.
Okay. I used to live a quarter mile from the Vatican.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
So, and so that's where he was in the Doma. And so the bottom line is that I've been there. I've talked with Johann X, who's the head of the archives, to try to talk him into letting us see these documents again. They still have not agreed to do that. But the bottom line is the church knows that it has to start mobilizing right away to start preparing people for what's getting ready to come. And that's happening now. There's huge activities going on now. Lots more. They deployed an entire carrier group down off.
A carrier group?
Yeah. The Nimitz carrier group. They deployed it down off the Baja to monitor the site down there. There's an underwater base for sure, right off Guadalupe Island, down underneath the sea.
Can we Google Guadalupe Island so we can see that?
Yeah, there's a specific spot.
You said this has to do with the church?
No, what I'm saying is that there are things happening now. There's such rapid developments that are going on now that they now know that there is this location right off Guadalupe Island, between there and Baja.
That island right there on the screen.
Which one is Guadalupe?
Unless we just lost the screen.
Is Guadalupe Island. Yeah, down there's Baja. One of those. It's right there. It's which one is Guadalupe?
The little thing right there. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, that would be it.
Got it.
Okay, so is that Guadalupe Island? Yeah, that's the one. Right off that island, right there, beneath the sea. They deployed the entire the Nimitz carrier.
That's David
group.
Fravers.
Yep.
Right.
And they monitored over 100 sightings of UFOs coming and going down into the ocean right there and going down to the bottom of the ocean. And they were monitored by the submarines. That's right, monitored by the submarines underneath the water, coming and going, so that there's virtually certainly a base there. And that there's another base outside of Sedona, Arizona, over by. There's a place called the Secret Mountain Wilderness over there. That's just totally desolate area. There's a base there where where the craft are, and so there's a number of them high in the mountains and remote areas of the planet, and that they're here now, and that they're extraordinarily distressed. You can tell about the state of affairs right now.
Of humanity.
Yes.
Do you think that some of them possibly could be something else? And to be specific on that, I'm not saying all of them, but that some of them could be some form of advanced 40 to 60 years ahead DARPA weaponry or something like that we aren't aware of, meaning like this one outside Guadalupe, if they're going into the water right there, so close to this island where we have carrier ships and stuff like that, on something like that, more than like, say, a Sedona, Arizona example, I more think something like this at Guadalupe could involve weaponry as opposed to actual alien UFOs, if you will. You think that's possible?
No, if you phrase it that way, is it conceivable? There's a lot of things that are conceivable. But that's not how you really conduct an investigation. What you do is you work from probability projections, and you work out from that. That it's quite clear to me that that facility off Guadalupe is in fact a base, an extraterrestrial base. Because the way that the carrier group has been acting, that they dig in and monitor that thing and monitor it under the water and keep track of it and keep records of what's going on, that would not be being done with one of our own weapon systems. But the one in Sedona, on the other hand, there's U.S. military personnel all around that place, and there's helicopters. They're Apache helicopters and others that are disposed, and they accompany the coming and going of these big triangles that fly in and out of there. And that they're witnesses that we've interviewed that say that there are tall whites or tall grays there, along with what they call the Mantis People.
Mantis People.
The Mantis People are huge, 7 feet tall, extraordinarily skinny, thin, kind of bowed over people. They remind people of praying mantises. That this particular species,
like Sean Bradley,
no, not that bad. No, some people refer to these people as insectoids.
Insectoids.
Yeah, it's kind of a pejorative of them, but they remind people of praying mantises, and that whenever they're seen with tall grays or the short grays or the reptilians at all, they seem to be in charge. They're constantly giving telepathic commands of how do they deploy, et cetera. And
when have they been seen?
That they've been seen there in that Sedona base.
Yeah, but
for example. Let's see here. We're in 2024 now. It was probably 2018 or so,
and 2017.
That Melinda Leslie is one of the witnesses who has seen them.
Who's she?
She's a person who's an abductee that was taken into custody by them in a MyLabs operation.
A MyLabs operation.
It was a military operation, masking as an abduction. Stephen Greer has talked about that. It's one of the things that Stephen and I agree upon, that there are such things, that there have been efforts undertaken by United States military personnel to mimic abduction, UFO abductions.
Okay, so this was a mimicked abduction.
That's right.
That she was abducted
That's right.
for.
That's right. And she was taken to that base.
What base?
The base outside of Sedona. The one by the secret mountain wilderness.
That's
area.
not S4.
No. That's in Nevada.
Okay.
That's S4 in the Area 51. S4 is about 11 miles away from Area 51, but they're both in Nevada.
So she's taken to this base by Sedona.
And what they're doing is they were doing experiments trying to discern people's psychic abilities. That there's a major program that's going on in the United States military, because their pilots were unable to fly these things because they're flown by telepathy. The craft are flown by telepathy.
Yeah.
And the pilots, the kind of people that are trained to be pilots, are not telepathically trained. They're extraordinarily linear, very, very intense, scientific, logical, positivist type folks, in that they aren't able to communicate with the craft. And so that there's been a whole program to try to recruit people, to try to find out people who are psychic, to see whether they can actually be involved in helping to run these craft, because the craft are run psychically by the ETs. And so unless they have ET people working with them, which it appears they do at the Sedona base, that the ET people are the ones that actually pilot the craft, the large craft. But that they're given U.S. military escorts with F-18s and the major helicopter gunships actually protect them when they're flying some of these.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so she allegedly saw them in 2017, 2018 when she was taken to this base, and they were down there and they were being interrogated.
They were being experimented with. They were asked to do these experiments of psychic experiments.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they were doing. And there's lots of information about that now, about this weird program that they've got going of trying to recruit people that they think are psychic because their normally trained pilots are not able to fly these things.
It's almost like a Men in Black kind of thing, like when we see in the movie where they have the base and they go in there and all the aliens are chilling and stuff. That's effectively a similar parallel to what's being described.
There's lots of weird science fiction movies all over the place, picking up little pieces of this stuff. That what we do is that I tend not to go to those kind of movies, but because I'm kind of staying focused on.
You're too wired in, Danny.
Right. I'm trying to stay focused on what it is I know. That's why it's easy to remember these things.
Yeah.
Because I don't garble it up with a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't read fiction. About these things. I just refuse to do that. I refuse to go to movies that have bad galactic politics, that are that are into bumming people out about making up terrible things about ETs and stuff, like they're here to eat you and all that stuff. You don't want to poison your mind with that. I don't go to vampire movies or werewolf movies or disembowelment movies. I stay away from those kind of things.
You're not a Twilight guy?
No. Well, no. So there's lots of information about this now, and there's this extremely interesting phenomenon that has started, as you know. That back in 2017, December 17th of 2017, you have the front page story in the New York Times that Leslie Kean and Blumenthal wrote, exposing the existence of a top secret program inside the Pentagon engaged in professionally investigating the UFO phenomenon. Okay, and they reveal that, and they had some things a little missed in that report.
Like what?
Yeah, like for example, that they thought ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, was a lot more formalized than it really was. But Lou goes at some length here. Yeah, isn't
your
Lou,
client Lou Alzando?
Lou Alzando has written this book. It's his for the last 3 weeks has been the #1 bestseller on the New York Times bestseller list. That he goes into detail now about how ATIP kind of evolved out of OSAP, the Advanced Weapons Special Access Program, and how he was doing this kind of informally, and et cetera. But so he's clarified all of that in his book.
We had him in here for episode 237.
Right.
It was a very fascinating conversation. I think we're trying to do another one in November because there was a lot still on the bone there. One of the things that I think, and I want Lou to talk about this in November just so he can kind of once and for all make it clear. But one of the things I think that's confused people in the past with how he's explained it, because again, there was a lot of moving parts here.
Yes.
Is that he's said things like, "Oh, I wasn't a part of OSAP," because it seems like he's making the assumption that OSAP, when he was first being read into this stuff in 07 or 08, OSAP was transferring into what became ATIP. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.